Episode 202, Ironman Arizona with Ali McInturff. Welcome to the pursuit of the perfect race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in it for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. Hey everybody, welcome back to the pursuit of the perfect race. Today I have the pleasure of talking with Ali McInturff about her recent race at Ironman Arizona that took place on November 18th, 2018, where the temperature on race day was 48 and rose to 73, with the water temperature being 61 degrees. She had a great time of 9 hours, 51 minutes, and 54 seconds, which was enough to get her a slot for Kona in 2019. And she is ready to share her experience about her race today. Welcome back to the show, Ali.
Hey.
Hey, so what made you want to do this race?
So I really wanted to go under 10 hours, and Arizona's fast, and this was the place to do it. So there you go. That was it. And I wasn't going to Texas. Sorry.
No? You don't want to go to Texas?
Nope, no Texas.
What's wrong with Texas?
Too hot.
It's in April. It's not that bad.
Yeah, no. Nah, Arizona was a good choice, I think. It was closer. Less travel.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
So going into this race, I know this is your fourth full, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't your first rodeo. You've been around the block a few times, and you're using Coach Wes Johnson with Balanced Art Multisport. What was your training like going into this race?
So I decided to do Arizona in May of 2018. And so I work full time. So I train about 15-ish hours a week. And then the last block, we kind of did a bigger build. So I'm kind of a maybe like 10 to 15 hours a week kind of person. So we do a lot of higher intensity workouts, not a lot of fluff. And I don't swim as much as most people.
But you don't need to.
No, because I have huge swimming base, so only two or three times a week generally. So
wow. So what was your longest swim, bike, and run workouts going into Arizona?
I did a couple of 5-hour rides. I think I did 3. Longest run. My longest single run was 2 hours, and I want to say I did 13 or 14 miles, so it was pretty slow. But that day I did a triple run.
What do you mean?
Ran an hour in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, and I think another hour in the evening.
So you did an hour in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and another hour at night?
I think so. I think that's what, or maybe it was 3.5 hours. So maybe one of those was they were a little bit shorter, but so we kind of broke up a longer run into 3 short runs.
Why would you do that?
I don't do a ton of volume, and I don't have a big running base, and so I just need to get used to the pounding. And that's actually my biggest problem during a race too, is I just start to ache. So I was trying to kind of replicate that. So yeah.
Wow. So what was your longest swim workout going into this race?
We did. I think my husband told you about it. We did this broken Ironman swim, and I think it was 6,000+ meters. It was terrible. It was horrendous. It was a 1,500 straight, and then 3 500s fast, and it was that was by far the longest.
So y'all did that together?
Yeah, we did that one together.
Oh my gosh!
Thankfully. Yeah.
You need somebody to do that with.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it by myself. No way. Our coach was there too. He did it with us. So he kept us honest, because I think he knows we wouldn't have finished it.
Gosh.
Oh.
So with the running, you're building up to this triple run. How did you build up to that?
I didn't really build much. I probably do 2 to 3 runs a week, usually about an hour and a half. Some of them are more intense treadmill workouts where it's interval workouts. But yeah, usually about 3 hours, 4.5 hours a week.
Wow.
And then just this last 6 weeks, right before the race, we kind of picked up the mileage a bunch. So.
Right. So what about bricks? Are you doing bricks in training?
Yeah. And I do my bricks a little different. I have I don't know what most people have issues with, but one of my big things that I really struggle with is I come flying off the bike, running paces I shouldn't be even close to. So a lot of mine are getting off the bike and running the pace you're supposed to go. You know what I mean? Because in 3 miles, you feel like you hit a wall, right? You take off running a minute under the pace you're supposed to be going, and then I die 3 miles later. So
you have to hold yourself back a little bit.
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So just a little bit more about your training here. You had 3 5-hour rides. Were these on the trainer or outside?
So they were supposed to be outside, but we live in Idaho, and so the weather got cold a little bit faster, so we ended up moving them inside, some of them. And once they went from 5-hour outdoor rides, we went to 4-hour trainer rides.
Okay, so you only did 4-hour long rides going into this race.
Yeah, right at the end, because the weather just got kind of cold. So we probably did 2 outdoor 5-hour rides.
Okay.
Yeah, probably 2.
So as you're on the bike for 5 hours, what kind of nutrition do you use?
I only use F2C.
Really?
So, yeah, and Red Bull.
Okay,
yeah.
So with F2C, what kind of mixture do you use with their products?
So in all my previous races, I actually just use it's called glycodurance. And I used it like Gatorade, I put it in all of my nutrition. I have 2 special needs bottles. So I carried a lot of volume. This year I switched to a super bottle. And yeah, so that was kind of different. So I do a super bottle and then just water and everything else with nothing else in it.
So what is this super bottle? What do you mean by that?
So it's one normal size water bottle, but are they 18 ounces?
24 ounces.
24 ounces. And then it's 500 calories. So 5 servings of the glycodurance and then adding electrolytes on top of that. So something called electrodurance. And so this was the first cold race I've ever done. And so we kind of had to mess with it a little bit. It ended up being fine. I don't know if it was perfect, but we did 3 little servings of something called electrodurance.
Okay. So how many calories would that equal then?
So it's 500 per super bottle. And then I put 1 super bottle in my special needs bag. So. Okay.
So you have basically 2 bottles you're going off of.
Yes. And the rest is water. So, and I do the same for long rides. So we'll loop back and pick up a second bottle because it's just too much volume to carry. If we have to use a gas station, I just use Gatorade, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with all of this training that you're doing, how are you maintaining your weight and not gaining weight in all this training? Because I know you're a busy person. You have a full-time job too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're also training. How are you maintaining your diet?
That's a good, so I am a pediatrician, so I work a lot in the winter, right? And so we're not as busy in the summer. So in the winter, my diet kind of gets a little crazy. We just work so much that I get we get a little soft in the winter. But in the summer, so the big things I do to not gain weight since we eat when we train, is I do 5 small meals throughout the day.
Really?
So, yeah.
So do you meal prep?
No, I cook.
So you cook 5 times a day?
So we do 2 normal meals, a lunch and a dinner that I cook. And then I use protein bars. I like the Zone Perfect bars and the G2G. I'll use that for a snack during the day. So those are pretty calorie dense. It's 200 or 300 calories.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so they're pretty decent. Wow. Yeah.
Do you supplement with protein shakes as well?
You know what? I don't like them. I don't like the taste. So I don't use any protein shakes.
Okay. So what workouts did you do in training that gave you the confidence to go into this race prepared?
So there's a couple that we do. So we do I really like this lactate recycling set for swimming. It's a 200 threshold and then you do a recovery swim kind of on the same time. And gradually through the season, you watch your times drop. That set, as you start to your times start getting faster and faster, I like to see that. That lets me know I'm kind of ready. Running wise, we just set at 800s on a track and you're kind of holding your goal Ironman pace. So, when you start kind of falling under that you're ready to go. And the bike, the bike I'm probably the newest to.
Really?
Yeah, so I haven't been biking as long as everything else. And so, but that's also where I've made my biggest improvements. So gradually through the year, I've just gotten stronger. So it was just kind of like, how strong can you get before the race? It's just been gradual improvement over the past couple of years. So,
wow. So if we take a look at the last 6 months going into Arizona, did you miss any training?
Yeah.
How much?
Yeah, sure. I would say at least a workout a week got missed. Some got cut short. I have a toddler who thinks he's a morning person, and so you wake up at 5:30 to do like an hour and a half workout, and he wakes up at 6:30. It just got cut short. So,
wow.
Yeah, that would happen probably twice a week, maybe.
And y'all kind of went to Kona during your big build?
Yeah, we did. I took my bike. My husband was nice. He flew my bike out there. So I got to do some training on the Queen K.
Nice.
So it was fun.
So with all of your training, you're building up to 15 hours a week at your biggest week. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe like 17 at the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were there any days where you just mentally said, I don't want to do this anymore?
Yes, but I also didn't have very long, like I just trained from May really hard until November. And so it wasn't enough time to get burned out. You know what I mean? I think people who train through the winter, especially we live somewhere cold, I think you get burned out if you train through the winter, honestly. Like, I think you need that little break. And my job forces me to take one in the winter. I just can't do it. But I think it's important, I mean, you can't do nothing, but to take a break from kind of that big volume.
Right. So with the days that you mentally just didn't want to train, how did you get past those?
I have a really supportive husband. and I knew if I was going to train to do this and take time away from my family, like I had to take it seriously. And so it was mostly for them, like if this is something I was going to do, I needed to do it. And so I can usually get my head around it pretty quick.
So
a cup of coffee in the morning helps.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned something that I've often wondered about, but I've never really asked anybody. But do you ever hear criticism from other moms saying, hey, you need to spend more time with your family and not do anything selfish like this? Have you ever heard any criticisms for this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Definitely. Yeah. It's not as much. You hear it. The group of people I train with, a lot of them are moms, and so they are super supportive. So it kind of helps outweigh the people who say you should be spending more time with your family. So, especially because I was working full time, and then I would train in the morning, and so.
I mean, even having a full-time job, it's like, oh, you need to be spending more time with your kids. You're missing out on so much, and that's really not the culture that we're moving towards in modern society. It's more of everybody should be working and doing the best we can and following our dreams.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, we say that on the outside, but when it actually comes down to person to person, it's easy to criticize what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so no, definitely.
I've seen that even with the female pros I've talked with offline, it's like they face so much criticism, and it's more blatant for them because it's like you need to be having a normal job, more reliable. You need to be having a family instead of doing this, and it's definitely so hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's hard, and if you don't have a supportive spouse, you can't do it.
So if your spouse wasn't supportive and didn't understand what you were wanting to do with Ironman and your goal in the sport, how would you go about explaining that to them?
I don't know. I'm so lucky that he does the same thing. He's all for it. I don't know. And I think it's important that they go and see you do it. They have to go to the race and kind of see what's happening. And I think that gives them kind of a better understanding of why you're training so much. You know what I mean? My family has never been to a race to watch. And I just wish they would come and kind of see even little triathlons, I think it'd be cool. So,
right. Because I think there's a difference in a supportive spouse and someone that really understands and is truly supportive. Like,
Yes.
yes, there's the people that says, hey, you know, I'll support you and do whatever, but I'm still going to give you a rash of crap for not doing the laundry. I'm still going to give you a rash of crap for not doing the dinner. I'm still going to give you crap for why isn't the bed made? Why isn't this? Why isn't this? Which is basically adding more stress to your life versus the spouse that says, hey, I'm making dinner tonight. What do you want? Hey, I made the bed. I did the laundry. What else do you need me to do for you?
Yeah.
That is a real supportive spouse versus the one that says, well, I have to get up at what time tomorrow for your race? Yeah, no, it says, hey, I'm waking up at this time. What do you need me to get for you tomorrow morning on race day?
Exactly.
Like, there's a totally different difference there.
There is. And the other thing that I think is hard to understand unless you've done the sport or at least done something similar, right? Like ultra marathon or something that is like such a large amount of training, is like the rest time. Like, you really do have to rest and do nothing. You know what I mean? And like put your feet up. Like, you can't be like, oh, I trained all day and now we need to go do this and this and this. Like, you actually need that little bit of downtime. I don't need as much as most people, but my husband needs a lot, you know, like he needs to like rest and like recuperate. And so a lot of our pastimes became things that were less active.
Like what? Watching movies and Netflix?
Watching movies, right? Watching movies. Yeah. Yeah. So with him wearing like his recovery boots, you know? And so, which is fine. That's fine. But
yeah.
So
whenever you actually started getting closer to the race, how are you balancing life, work, and training with having a toddler, going to Kona, having a husband that's also training, and you have a full-time job and 17 hours of training?
So luckily we moved and I took a little bit of time off. So the 3 weeks building up into Kona, I actually took 3 weeks off work. So that naturally built easily into my build. But I mean, it starts before that, right? So there's probably like 4 or so weeks where I was still working and doing both. We went to Hawaii. And you just carefully burn your candle at both ends, you know, like you just have to be careful. Your nutrition, like I think that's so important and you have to get enough sleep. We go to bed at like 9:00. So I can get up at, you know, the kid goes to bed and we go to bed too. Like I can't even keep my eyes open so we can get up at 5 the next day. So I think sleep and nutrition are probably the 2 most important things. And then if things aren't going your way, right? Like I get stuck at work until 6:00 and whatever we had to do that evening doesn't happen. Just have to be okay with it and move on. And our coach was super understanding about that. You know, like if there was something that needed to be rearranged or needed to be switched, he was really pretty accommodating. So
it seems like open, clear communication is a theme that I've learned through this podcast with, especially with people that have coaches. It's like, hey, I have something happened, communicate. This happened. How can we fix it? And it's not necessarily a passing of judgment with the coach. It's the coach saying, okay, this is the problem. How can we fix it? And just move on.
Yeah, definitely. And if you do miss a workout, like some people try and like fit it in later, I think you just have to tell them and be like, hey, listen, I missed this. Like, how do I fix it? Like what workout can actually go, you know? And they'll kind of like, I think that's important because I think a lot of times we miss a day. And so you try and just fit it in the next day. And that's not the point. You're kind of like undermining all of your coach's like strategy and workouts. And it's just not what they meant. It's not what they intended for you to be doing. So
right. But then if you kind of look at it from their point of view, missing a workout creates anxiety and you don't want to miss anything. So you have anxiety there. You're like, no, I have to get that in because I'm putting stake in my game.
Yeah. Right. Or you want your like green checkbox. You don't want any of your red workouts on training weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you one of those people that has to have green all the time?
Oh yeah, I totally am. I'm super type A. I'm really type A.
Well, you did get a slot for Kona, so yes.
Yeah, I like the green. But you know, things come up, things happen, or you get sick, you know. So it happens.
Wow.
In Kona, I brought all of my stuff to ride and swim and run and do all these things, and I had one decent bike ride. I got a flat twice on 2 rides. And finally I was just like, I'm done. I give up. I'm not supposed to ride today. Even though I shipped my bike to Hawaii to like do these long rides. I made it through 1.5 of them.
Wow. That sucks.
It did suck, but it was okay. I mean,
You're in
what
Hawaii.
are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah, go to the beach.
Might as well. So with all the sacrifices that you made going into this race, which was the most difficult that you had to make?
Definitely spending time with Enzo, so our son. George and I can train together, so it doesn't take any time away from him. He loves, we could bike together, we swim together, we can't run together anymore, but being away from home, having to have a nanny on Saturday morning or like a babysitter when I've already been at work all week, that sucked. So
how did you deal with that emotionally for yourself? Because that'd be hard for you.
I didn't deal with it very well. I would kind of get like worked up into like a little tizzy sometimes. But once we were out there, it was fine. It was just the prep going into it, Yeah. And it was too much work to throw it away for me feeling sad about not being at home on Saturday. And then I would come home and he would have just woken up anyway. You know what I mean? Like it was all in my head. He was fine.
So what was the prep like for that then?
Just like the night before, you know what I mean? Like you're getting all your stuff ready to go. You're going to be gone for 6 hours, right? Because you have like a bike and then like a run off the bike or whatever you're doing. And, make it planning and like coordinating with other people and having to like adjust your schedule to their schedule. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I was kind of being really selfish about it, Once we were out there, it was fine. But yeah, it's kind of, George was very patient. Sometimes I was like a total turd about it at night.
How was he patient?
I'm not going. I'll just bike by myself on my trainer, and he's like, no, we're going. So he used to make me go. But.
Wow. So going into your long weekends, what kind of nutrition were you using the night before the longer weekend days?
So if we had a big, so our kind of routine, if we have a big bike ride or some kind of big workout on a Saturday morning, we would typically do pasta or pizza. And we always have like dessert on Friday nights. That was our big thing.
Dessert?
So, yeah, like ice cream. So
your body would get used to this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Kind of works out well at the end. Yeah. And then, we save like our big like hamburger and French fries for like after the ride. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Too bad y'all don't have a Whataburger.
I know, we don't. We have like, what do we have? In-N-Out? We don't go there. I don't know what we have. Nothing good.
That sounds like diarrhea. So I wouldn't want that.
No, it does. It is. So especially when you don't eat it like that all the time, right?
Yes.
You get sick. Anyway.
So going into Arizona, how long was your taper and what did your taper consist of?
So because of swimming, I have a lot of experience with tapering. And so this has been the third time I think I've tapered with Wes. And I am a short taper kind of person. I'm like a week of rest and then I'm ready to go. So, my last long ride was 2 weeks before and it was 4 hours on the trainer. A week out, I think we did a 3.5 hour ride on the trainer. And then like race week really was the big drop. So my biggest run, I think, was 2 weeks out.
Really?
But I'm a short, like I don't like a long rest. So, and I've just over the years have kind of done a lot of that. So.
Wow. So when did you actually want to start traveling down to Arizona? I know that you were going to fly and George was going to bring your bike via car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a lovely idea there.
I know. So sweet. A 12-hour drive versus a 2-hour flight. So we got in on Wednesday, I think. Wednesday night. So, and the race was Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got there Wednesday. What was your first reaction to this city here? Because you haven't done this race before.
No. But we went and spectated once because we thought we were going to, or volunteered, sorry. Because we thought we were going to do it in 2016. Uh-oh. And then I had a baby, so I didn't do it. And then last year I went and spectated, so I knew the course because George raced. So It was colder than I thought it was going to be. That was my biggest reaction. It was not warm.
And it was actually kind of cool this year.
Yeah. You know what? And apparently it's always that way, but in my mind, I thought it was going to be warmer.
Wow. So with this here, did you bring enough cold weather gear?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, and I started looking at the weather about 2 weeks before and kind of just looking at the daily weather, not the race day weather. And so I knew it was going to be cool. So I brought a bunch of stuff. So
what all did you bring for the bike ride? Being that usually that's the longest duration and that's where you're going to be the most susceptible to being cold.
Yeah. So this year I switched from a sleeveless or a sleeved kit, which most people wear. I actually wore a sleeveless kit. So I brought arm warmers, like the sun ones, like the really light ones. And then I brought a jacket, like a race jacket that kind of zips in the front, like a tight fitted jacket. I didn't end up using the jacket, but I did wear the arm stuff. So I think people would be fine if you were in a sleeved kit, but that wasn't what I did this year. So that may have been kind of oversight on my part, but oh well.
Wow. So after you get there, you get checked into your Airbnb, all that fun stuff. Then you go to the athlete check-in in Village. Mm-hmm. What was your impression of this, being that you just went to Kona?
Actually, I really like Arizona's like check-in and stuff. The volunteers are fantastic. The line is always really short. Our check-in process took maybe like 30 minutes. Super quick.
That's not bad.
No, it was not. We didn't wait in line at all. But we plan to go on Thursday though. So I think it's probably busier on Friday. So I think going on the first day saves you a lot of time personally. Right. So, and then you have some time, like you don't have to be off your feet because it's not super close to the race. So if you want to go look at something, you can. We've been to a couple of races. And so I don't really spend a lot of time hanging out in the Ironman Village anymore. Unless we we forgot something or I need to pick something up, but.
Right. So as you're getting closer to the race, you go to bike check-in to drop your bike off. How is this process for you?
Actually, so Arizona split it up like you were supposed to go at certain times, like based on your number, like on your bib number. So we had the first like bike check-in but everybody was there. So it took forever. It took like an hour and a half to drop our stuff off.
Really?
And I don't know what happened, but so it was supposed to be like 1 through 1,000 goes in the first hour. So we got there right when it opened and the line was really long. So I don't know. That was different this year. But it was a long process. It was a lot of standing. We waited in line for a really long time.
Right. And they have to take a picture of your bike by itself. Yeah. But I have yet to see where these pictures ever come into any type of play.
Yeah, I don't know. But I've also never had anything happen to my bike. So I don't know if somebody who you know what I mean? If then it's helpful or my stuff's always been fine. So. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's so what are you going to do with a picture anyway? Like the bike is still gone. Is that just proof that it was actually there?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what they do with those pictures.
I mean, they're not.
And it was really specific. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just going to marketing stuff, honestly, because how many Cervelos were there? How many Felts were there? How many people were using this kind of wheels? How many people were using this kind of power meter? That's what I think, but I can't.
Yeah, I don't know I have no clue what they use them for, but it takes forever to get your picture taken of your bike. So that's the longest part. Yeah.
So after you get your bike checked in, your bags and all that fun stuff dropped off, what were you putting in your bags before you dropped them off?
Let's see. So my bike bag has my shoes. I wear socks on the bike. And for this one, I knew I was going to be cold. So I brought socks. Has my helmet. I think that's it. Oh, it had my sleeves in it because I wore sleeves this time. And then my run bag has sunglasses, my race belt, running shoes, a new pair of socks. I think that's it.
So you only have nutrition on the bike, and that's the only place you have nutrition besides special needs?
Yeah, and I just eat what's on the course. I use what's on the course on the run. So
Okay. So you drop all your stuff off, and you go and get something to eat for dinner, I'm assuming, or lunch?
yeah, so we got lunch. I think our drop off was at like 11 and we were done by 1. So we got lunch. We just like ate sandwiches, nothing like super heavy. And then we eat like an early dinner on the day before the race. So like, I think we picked it up at like 5:30 and we're done eating by 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what did y'all get for dinner the day before?
So in Tempe, there is this Italian place called DeFalco's. It's like a cafe. It's Italian food. It's excellent. So that's what we had. In fact, we had that, I think, every night for dinner.
Oh my gosh.
It's really good. Yeah. So
I guess George liked it.
yeah, he loved it. It was his find. He loved it.
So what did y'all get for dessert the day before the race?
So let me think. We had tiramisu one day, ice cream one day. I can't remember which was which though. Which was the day before, but tiramisu and then ice cream, they're kind of the same, right?
I've never had tiramisu before.
It's like cream and a little bit of cake, kind of tastes like coffee. It was good. It was homemade.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So, usually people like to go to bed pretty early the night before a race. Do you?
Go to bed early? No. I'm kind of I'm nervous. We actually watched a movie. So I don't sleep super well on race night. I try and get a really good night's sleep the night before race night. Like, so 2 nights before the race.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we would try and be in bed by like 10.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So whenever you actually got in bed, your nerves had calmed down. Did you sleep good?
Yeah. Once I fall asleep, I just stay asleep. Yeah. It was just the falling asleep process that took a while.
Okay. So what time were you wanting to get up?
So I believe transition opened at 5:30, and so we wanted to be up at 4:30 to be there when transition opened at 5:30. We ended up all getting up at 4.
Okay.
Like everybody in our house just like was awake and couldn't go back to sleep, so we just we were there. Go. Yep.
So what's your race day morning ritual like before you leave your Airbnb?
So I pack all my stuff the night before, including my like nutrition, and leave the bag somewhere, and then like set out all my like clothes. In the morning, I wake up and have a cup of coffee, and usually like a banana and yogurt for breakfast.
Okay.
And I take Pop-Tarts with me. I usually eat Pop-Tarts before a race just because I get really bad dry mouth because I get nervous and they just go down pretty easy. I usually don't end up eating them all. I just kind of like snack on it. I've tried taking like nutrition bars to eat, and stuff like that, but I can't like get them down. And then that's it, I think. Then we just left.
Do you have any issues with using the bathroom the morning of?
I do not. No. I usually... Yeah, no, I never do. Mm-mm. The only issue that we did have is that we had 4 people racing and 1 bathroom. That was the problem.
So how many people were in y'all's house?
So let's see. So there were 5 of us racing, and so I was there with my husband. One guy was there by himself. His family didn't come. There was a couple who was racing, and then a girl and her husband. So total, there was 7 people. 5 of us were racing. No, yeah, 5.
Wow. So and y'all all got up pretty much at the same time.
Yeah. The bedrooms were kind of like close together. Like we couldn't hear each other at night, but once people started like moving around in the morning, you could hear them. So I think we kind of just woke each other up, which was fine. Everybody was ready to get up. So
yeah. So after you get up, get ready to go down on a transition, how big of an issue was finding parking down there?
So because we've been there a bunch, we knew where to park. And so parking can be kind of tough, but there are some like parking garages. But if you're going to do that, I would have somebody like drop you off and then go park the car. We parked in like this restaurant parking lot where like you have to pay to park, but then they give you like a gift card for the restaurant. So.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. So you pay $20, I think, and then you get a $20 gift card.
So
it's not
basically
bad.
saying, hey, if you don't use it, we still get your money, but you can come here and get your money back, basically.
Exactly. And the food's good. So everybody who was there spectating went for lunch that day. So it's fine.
Oh, wow.
It's a good deal. Yeah. It's nice.
So George wasn't racing here, so he got to be your Sherpa, carrying around all your stuff.
Yeah. Shoot. Yep, he did.
So the morning of the race, how was he able to help you out?
So the big thing is having a bike pump. He had the bike pump. Nobody ended up needing it though. And so we were good. And then at this race, so they changed the swim start. So now you are not starting the swim near the bike transition. So you have to walk over to the swim start. And it's not far, but you have to drop your morning clothes bag before you leave. And it's cold. And so having someone at the start line that you could give your morning clothes bag to, so we didn't use the drop off, was really nice. Like really nice. So bike pump and morning clothes bag.
So you also had to think of if you're going to drop your special needs bag off and your morning clothes bag, those are two different areas, not near the start line for the swim.
Exactly. Now the swim start is not in the transition area anymore.
Because now logistically they made it more complicated because of where the drop-off points are, two separate areas, and one being past the start line and one being before the start line.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So if you know where they are and you don't have a ton of stuff in your bag, you can kind of incorporate that in your warm-up, I think, because there's enough room to kind of run. So if you're going to jog, go jog, drop off your special needs, and then, do your thing. But if you didn't know that going in, that might put you in a time crunch.
Right. Which would raise your anxiety and stress levels before the race. And you don't want that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So as you're going up to the swim start, you don't have to worry about everything. You're pretty relaxed. How were you in transition? You're putting right at 100 PSI on your wheels, putting your nutrition of F2C on your bike, all this fun stuff. Did you have any issues with your bike?
Nothing. And I actually don't check the pressure on the morning of unless I feel the wheels. And if they feel low, then I mess with them. Otherwise, I don't mess with them.
Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure. I just don't. If they feel like they're low, then I'll add air or whatever. But if they feel fine, I just leave them alone. Okay.
So after you leave transition, you're heading down to the swim start. When do you actually put your swimsuit on, your wetsuit?
So I go to the place in my kit and then warm up, do a 15-minute jog or run, whatever, and then put my wetsuit on afterwards. And I just put the bottom half of it on, and then I do some swim warm-up stuff. This was not a swim where you can get in the water. So I had stretch cords and had some little things I needed to do to warm up. And then once I did that, I put my wetsuit on the rest of the way.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. It seems like you have a specific time schedule of the morning of the race.
Yeah, I'm I just need enough time to not get anxious about what I need to do. I also have to get to the front of the swim start. And so if it starts getting really crowded, that starts getting hard. So I need to be there a little bit sooner. If you're starting further back, not as much of an issue. But getting into that first little corral can sometimes be a little hard.
Gotcha. So you actually have probably a minute by minute schedule of race morning?
Yeah. About a 15-minute. Yeah.
So here's what you're doing from the time you wake up to the time the gun goes off. You know where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing within all that.
Yeah. The other thing I have to be I get kind of a queasy stomach, I get a little nauseous race morning. I don't throw up or anything, but so I have to remind myself to eat something. And so that's part of my little schedule is when I need to eat for the last time. Cause otherwise I don't feel good. And so I won't eat. So.
Okay. So do you have a backup nutrition plan if the swim is delayed?
Yeah. So I only eat about half of what I take with me. So, so I have another 200 calories, which I wouldn't need anywhere close to that, but just in case. But I've never been luckily to a race where the swim was delayed. So,
right. I mean, just this year at Mont Tremblant, it was delayed for an hour, in 15-minute increments. And then at Ironman Louisville, it was delayed by 30 minutes.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It definitely happens. And that's one thing that it seems like you're very well prepared going into this on all fronts.
Yeah, that, and having more time wouldn't necessarily, I would take that as like a blessing. You know what I mean? Like you have a little more time. You can like calm down, but definitely having a little extra something to drink and eat that is key. And staying warm, I guess. I don't know if those were cold races, but staying warm if you're waiting.
Yes, and Mont Tremblant was kind of chilly before the race, and they delayed that for a fog. And having a Sherpa there with a jacket would definitely help. And maybe even gloves and maybe a towel to sit on, which would be kind of nice to get off your feet. Yeah.
And what we did, we bought, so we went to like, I think Target the like first day when we got there, and I bought like little cotton gloves, a pair of like socks to wear because standing on the cold pavement is kind of miserable, and then like a hat to put over my cap. And so that's kind of what I stayed in until it was time to go. And some of that stuff you could potentially throw away if you had to. We didn't have to, which was awesome. So I can save it for another race, but just in case.
You know, I like what you said there with a disposable hat that you put over your swim cap and all that to kind of keep your head warmer than what it's going to be in that cold water, because this water is freezing. Like,
it was
cold.
It was cold. Yeah. It was cold. And I think keeping like your hands and feet, hands and feet. Otherwise your wetsuit's going to keep the rest of you warm.
All right. Head, hands, and shoulders, knees.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh! So you're lining up in the sub-hour group, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you're getting ready to get into the water, the pro men go off and the pro women go off. Mm-hmm. Where are you standing at in the corral?
In the first, like right kind of at the start line. So under the kind of banner for the swim start.
Oh, wow. So you're like right up front.
Yeah. And so the pros were actually started in the water. We started on the boat ramp or whatever ramp it was, some kind of ramp thing. And they started in the water. So they actually started like next to us. So it was kind of cool to watch, but.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the gun goes off for the age groupers and you head out. How does the swim go for you?
So I did not have a good swim. So in the past I've had issues with just being anxious, like right when you get in the water, it's kind of turbulent. I was a pool swimmer for years. I don't do very well with like all the chaos but that didn't happen this year. So I'd get like kind of chest tightness. I feel like I can't breathe. It takes me about 300 yards to kind of calm down, and then I'm ready to go. This time, none of that happened, but the water was like shockingly cold. And I had a sleeveless wetsuit, which was a mistake. And so, which, I mean, it was okay, but I was fine. I was able to keep my heart rate up, and kind of on the back half, when you're starting to settle into your pace, I started to settle into my pace and I got cold and I couldn't warm back up. And so I started to tighten up, and everybody's different. That's something that really affects me. I don't do super well in the cold. And so my swim time was a little off. It was well above where I wanted it to be, but it was okay. So, and I don't wear a watch when I swim, so I actually don't know where I get out of the water. I don't like to see it. But I knew I was behind where I wanted to be. So.
Right. So why didn't you get a sleeved wetsuit while you were in the area?
We kind of talked about it and debated back and forth, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to be fine. And it just wasn't. It was just a mistake. I should have worn a sleeved wetsuit. You know, I have one. I should have worn it. It was just a bad decision.
So what was your thought process going into it for the sleeveless versus the sleeve?
So, in 2017, I wore a sleeved wetsuit, and, just coming from a swimming background, I wear the Roka, what is it called? X? Is it X?
Sure.
The new one where the arms are like made to be up. It's fine. I like having a feel for the water. I don't like having something on my shoulders. It makes them feel tight. I love wearing a sleeveless wetsuit. I love it. I have used it in a bunch of races and it felt awesome. This just was not it was too cold. You know what I mean? And so I would prefer that. That's my preferred suit, but I can also wear a sleeved suit and be okay. And so that would have been a better choice.
Do you get like claustrophobic with all the tightness?
Yeah. The tightness across the chest, and I'm fairly broad, and so even though it's supposedly made to fit a swimmer, for me it feels kind of constricting. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So, what about sighting on these buoys? Knowing that you're swimming directly east and the sun is already rising by the time you get to that portion of the swim, and that's the longest portion is going directly into the sun. How did you deal with this?
So in general, I swim very straight. Like I swim in a straight line. So I could swim for a long time without sighting and not worry too much. But the buoys at this race were hard to see. They were little. They were not the big ones. Like they were these small, and they weren't inflated very well. I don't know if it was the cold water or what, but they were like saggy and like flopping in the water. And sometimes you couldn't even see them until you were like right on top of them. So sighting on the back end was tough.
Wow. See, I know there's a tangent that can be taken on the long side of it because of how the river kind of S's around, and then
it kind of makes
the
a turn
buoys kind of go with that. But if you don't take that, you can go straight right there. Did you take that straight, or did you follow the buoy line?
I just followed the buoy line.
Okay.
So I was with a kind of a group of swimmers, and we all just kind of followed the buoy line.
Okay, so as you go as you go west on the river back upstream to go to the swim out, how is this for you?
That was tough. That was hard as well to sight. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if the sun was like right in front of us, so you picked your head up to sight and the sun was right there. It was hard to sight. It was hard to see the swim exit. It's a different exit this year. And it's kind of small. And you kind of like swim, and then you make a turn at a big red buoy and then like kind of cut in. And I didn't know we were at the red buoy until we were kind of right on top of it. So it was just logistically a little hard, but I didn't get off course. It was just, sometimes I was like, well, I hope I'm on course because I can't see anything. So,
right. So,
but there was always some people around, and
with
it was okay.
The swim exit here, did you know you had to go around that red buoy to get out?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Because, so I was planning on being a little bit ahead on the swim, kind of not where I came out. I try to know the swim course and the beginning of the bike course really well, because a lot of times I'll get out with the men, and then they bike away from me really fast, and I'm kind of by myself. So I kind of need to know that part of the transition really well. So I actually even went and looked at it race morning, but even then I still was a little disoriented. So
wow. So as you're getting done with the swim course, T1 here is different than what it was last year.
Yeah.
How did you handle this T1 here? I know you were in there about 6.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
What was this like for you?
Yeah, it was a little slow. So it was just a long way to run before you actually got to T1. And the ground, like, it was just cold. Like, you couldn't feel the ground. It was like, you're running on concrete, which was fine. It's just a long run. It's flat though, which is nice. And you're not running on gravel or grass or anything. It's all flat. It's kind of slippery too as the pavement got wetter. It's just a long run. So you just have to kind of know that's coming. But I was so happy to be out of the water. I didn't care.
Right.
I was like, get me out of here. Try and warm up a little on the run.
But the air temperature is colder than the water.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was cold.
So slippery, wet concrete here.
Yeah.
How long were you actually in the air before you got to the changing tent?
I think probably like 2 minutes, maybe like a minute, somewhere between 1 and 2 minutes. And when I got into the changing tent, I had trouble getting my socks and shoes. I had trouble getting everything on because my hands and feet were numb. And so that kind of slowed me down a little bit. Like, had trouble buckling my helmet and stuff because I couldn't feel my hands and feet. But, yeah, just a little slow.
Okay. So as you're getting ready to head out of T1, where are you in transition, and how do you approach the first few miles of the bike ride?
So my bike was like really close to the bike exit, which was sweet. I was like the second bike in. It was awesome. Like, I couldn't ask for a better spot. And so the first little bit, I honestly was just thinking about pedaling to get my heart rate up and to warm my body up. That was it. I was just like, I need to warm up. I need to, I was trying to eat a little bit as soon as I get on the bike, because you go like an hour or so without any calories. So yeah, that was it.
Wow.
Just tried to warm up, get out on the road, kind of get settled in. The first lap's awesome because there's not a ton of people out on the bike course yet. And so I wanted to take advantage of that. And so I just tried to get settled in and like keep a close eye on my watts, make sure I wasn't over biking.
Right.
So
you have a power meter that you're going off of then.
Yeah. I use a compute. Yeah. I use a power meter.
Okay. So what kind of goal power are you wanting to hit?
So, and I was supposed to average 195.
Supposed to average? What did you average?
When I actually pulled up my bike computer, I was at 179, which was pretty good. Yeah, so it's pretty close. But
you left some on the table, it seems like.
Yeah, a little bit. It's hard. So it's hard because you're coming downhill on the back half of the bike, and so it's hard to kind of hold the watts you're supposed to be holding. And this, my speed was okay, so I just kind of went by feel a little bit. So
let gravity work for you.
Yeah, and it was my first time using the disc, so I think that kind of that helps a little bit too. So
nice.
Yeah.
So as far as the first 30, 40 miles of the bike ride, did you see any flats, wrecks, or mechanicals?
Not on the first lap.
Okay.
I didn't see any. Everybody's like kind of few and far between. People are kind of going around the same speed. No, I didn't see anything.
Nice. So the aid stations here, are you using the aid stations?
Yeah, I pick up water at the aid stations.
Okay. So do you have enough time with the aid stations to get what you need and discard what you don't need? Or are they really short?
They were short this year. They were really short. It
really?
was, you could only like grab one thing. So I'd grab a water bottle at the beginning. The other thing is I use like a back mount bike water bottle thing, like behind you. And the water bottles were really flimsy. And so I couldn't get it into the cage. So I messed around with that.
What kind of cage do you use?
The X Lab. It's just like a single carrier, but it's like that carbon carrier. I can't think of what it's called, but it's X Lab. And the water bottles like just would crumple and they wouldn't go in. And so I would fill it up while I was riding and then toss the rest of the bottle, which is fine because there's so many aid stations there. But at another race that may not work as well. So
right. So how was the quality of the road here?
It was good. There's in town there's some like lateral kind of ridges, and so it kind of feels like you just kind of thump over them a little bit, but no big potholes. There was maybe 2 and they were really well marked. I thought it was really good. There wasn't a lot of debris on the road at the beginning. Eventually there was a lot of debris from like water bottles and stuff people had dropped, but there was really nothing. It was really nice. In town it's a little bit rougher, but it's just a short little segment. Right.
So your nutrition plan, how does this go? And did you want to eat a certain amount, a certain time increment, or what was this like?
Yeah. So because it is like naturally the course is kind of split into 6 segments, I actually just mark on my water bottle how much I need to drink of my nutrition. So I just kind of figured out the night before. And I don't like within that, like what interval, like out. I don't really worry about like taking it in consistently. And then I tend to kind of front load the bike with nutrition and eat maybe like 300 calories that first like segment, the first lap out, and then kind of cut back and end up a little bit lower, maybe end up at 200. So, and then I just tend to eat like about every 15 minutes, a couple of the cliff blocks, 15 or 20 minutes, depending on like the traffic. So,
wow. So normally in training, you were getting 250 calories an hour.
Yeah.
But here, being that it's a little bit cooler, did you modify this at all?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I didn't. And I probably could have. The other thing I didn't really modify was my fluid intake. Probably didn't need as much water as I took in. So.
Right.
I was quite well hydrated. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom.
So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom.
Yeah. So.
So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathroom. So it seems like you had to stop to use the bathro
Yeah, I'm not a stopper.
Okay.
Just peed on the bike. So, yeah.
It's surprising how many people do that. It seems like it's just the normal thing.
Yeah. Yeah, this was my first time, like, really doing it in a race. So, this is the first time I ever feel like I've been, like, well hydrated. Because the temperature was cooler. So, yeah, so this is my first time peeing on the bike.
So, with the second and third laps, did you see in flats or wrecks?
Yeah, a lot of flats.
Really?
I didn't see any wrecks. I heard someone wreck behind me, like, or something happened behind me. I don't know if they wrecked or crashed, but I didn't turn around because I didn't want to, there was a lot of traffic, so I didn't look back. But I don't think they wrecked. I think they were okay because it was like right behind me. And then I saw somebody lose a water bottle oncoming, and it went into it, like, you know, but I think everybody was okay. They didn't wreck. And then I heard that there was one girl who did, just because she was age group above me. But I didn't see her. I didn't actually see anybody wreck. So, but there's a lot of people on the side of the roads, mostly flats and like mechanical type stuff.
Wow. So as you're getting past special needs, how does special needs go for you?
It was good. So some places they like call out the number ahead of time. This place they did, or Arizona they didn't. So you had to like yell your number when you got there. But it was fine. They found I maybe stopped for like 30 seconds. And so, I stop. I don't grab the bag and ride. I don't think it's worth it to me. I'm just not that good at bike handling. So I stop and get my water bottle out.
Right. At this point, you've been on the bike for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So you're about halfway through and you're replacing your nutrition, getting back going.
Yeah.
For people that don't know how to maneuver special needs, what advice would you give them for this?
If it's your first time, I would say stop, get what you need out of your bag, and then like carefully, start going when it's clear. Like take your time. It's not worth it to risk it there. If you're really experienced and you feel like you can grab your bag and go, like that's fine. But a lot of wrecks happen there, and to me, it's not worth it. You're going to save yourself 30 seconds. Other people may not agree, but
right. So usually the way special needs is laid out is there's rows of 10 bags for 25 lines. And there's volunteers spread out throughout that for those numbers. And they just listen for their number that they're monitoring. And then when they get there, they raise that bag up. Is that how that was here?
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
Yep.
So,
and they were fast. They were really quick. They were great. And they kind of open your bag and they hand you one thing at a time. They ask you what you want. Like they do a great job. So
nice. So as far as the miles 70, 80, and 90, how are you holding up mentally and emotionally at this point? Because you've been on the bike for roughly 3.5, 4 hours, and you still have over an hour left. What's going on in your head at this point?
So, this race is nice. I think maybe this is why people like to do it for their first one. Because you have like this natural, right? You pedal out and you're going uphill a little bit. You ride back and you're coming downhill. So the beginning of that segment was downhill. So you're flying, and then all of a sudden you're back in town. And then all you have is one more lap. You've already done it twice. And so mentally, I think this race is easier than most. And it's definitely easier than just like an out and back. It's just broken up a little bit differently. The last bike out, the last uphill, that was probably my most consistent lap. There wasn't as much traffic as there was on the second lap. And so I just tried to be careful, keep my head down. It was starting to get a little bit windy. So trying to stay in aero. So I think that was what I tried to focus on. So.
Okay. So with the third lap, and this is a lot easier of a race emotionally and mentally because you're not by yourself like a big out and back such as Santa Rosa that you've done.
Exactly.
So how would you compare Santa Rosa mentally and emotionally compared to this one?
This is a ton easier. Santa Rosa is hard because it's, you're by yourself, and you're kind of at mile 50 and 60 and you just want to be done and you have a long way to go. So it's nice to have a loop where there's more people, but with that, I mean, you're like on the whole time because there's so many people around, and you're watching the people coming at you because they're dropping things. You're watching the people you're passing. So mentally you're kind of on the whole time, but it makes the time go by fast.
Right. So the quality of the road also plays into this factor as well, because if the roads are like they are here at Arizona and not like Santa Rosa, where you're getting beat up the whole time.
Yeah, right.
It's completely different.
Totally. Absolutely.
Because you literally just forget that you're riding your bike and you're just focusing on things versus going, oh my gosh, my crotch is killing me because of I'm getting beat up so much.
I just hit my 20th pothole or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know Santa Rosa has the infamous hill of whatever it's called. I forgot the name of it right now.
And it also is hard because like it kind of messes up your nutrition when the road's rough like that. Same thing I guess can happen with a lot of traffic is you can get off a little bit. And I kind of knew that going in because we've been there a couple times before. So I tried to have a kind of a flexible plan. That way, if it was really chaotic and I had to go a little while without messing around with my nutrition, then it was okay, and waited for like a gap. So I think if you know it's going to be a rough road or a chaotic ride, you have to be kind of flexible.
Okay. So as you get to mile 100, 105, 110, how are you preparing to start running?
It's downhill. It was awesome. So I try not to push it on the last little bit coming in and just prep for the bike. I stop eating and just drink my nutrition so my stomach's not upset getting off the bike. And just make sure everything's like all systems are go, nothing's hurting. My knees aren't hurting. My quads aren't cramping, making sure everything's kind of where it needs to be. And if they are, then I back off a little bit, but they were okay. So.
Okay. So whenever you actually get to T2, how does T2 go for you?
It was okay.
Just okay?
Yeah, I don't have the fastest transitions. I just kind of take my time. I don't know. I'm just, my coach always gets on me about it. But I kind of I feel like that's your one time, like you're kind of face to face with volunteers. I know that has nothing to do with it. But like they're handing you your stuff. You can say thank you. Like you make sure you have all your stuff, take a deep breath and like leave the tent. Like I know my transitions aren't the best, but I kind of take that as like a mental kind of like reset for the next discipline. And they go fine. I don't know. It's kind of all a blur. Like I just make sure I have all my stuff, get a drink, get ready to go,
So you were a minute behind Heather Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. A minute. In T2. That's nothing.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about that.
But I kind of like that little, it's just like, for me, it's just a moment of like mental break before you head out into what is going to be a tough marathon. And it's like for me, it's like my last moment of calm.
Calm before the storm.
Right? Because you know it's coming and it's going to hurt. And no matter how fast or slow you run, it hurts. And it's kind of your last little moment to take a deep breath. And I kind of think of the end of the bike that way too. Like you get to just enjoy it for a minute. Yeah.
Mentally compose yourself before you have to go to the well.
Yeah. Because it's coming. Yeah. You're going to have to dig deep. And so you just take a minute.
Okay. So as you leave T2, how is your strategy going into the run? Did you know to hold yourself back some?
Yeah. So I have to use a watch on the run because, like I said, I just take off like nobody's business. And I still do. I mean, I look down at my pace and it's totally off. I don't feel good when I start running. It's just like my legs just kind of roll and I felt a little crampy. But it went away. So that takes like a mile or two, I think. My quads felt a little funky, but I don't know. It was okay.
Okay. So
yeah, I didn't feel great. But...
So with T2 come and gone in less than 2.5 minutes, you're out running. What is your strategy for this run?
So I had a very specific time goal, and I knew that if I held a certain pace, that I would make it. And I knew about where it needed to be. And so my goal was to run as easily as possible, but have a safe cushion under that pace. So I wanted it to feel easy. I wanted to make sure I wasn't cramping, making sure things weren't hurting, and making sure that I was eating at the beginning of the run. And, you know, and then the race just kind of unfolded the way it unfolded.
Right. So from a nutrition standpoint, you wanted to front load the run.
Yeah, just at the beginning. I usually skip I don't eat at the first aid station. I don't eat till the second one. So that's maybe 20 minutes into the run, and then eat a little bit of solids. I actually took a hot shot because I was crampy.
Really?
Yeah. And then.
So when did you start cramping?
I was kind of crampy getting off the bike. My quads were crampy. They just felt like they were a little crampy. So.
Do you feel like that's because you didn't get enough electrolytes on the bike?
I am not sure. Like I said, this was my first cold race, and so I did less electrolytes. So that is definitely possible. I don't think it was fatigue because it went away. So I think it probably was a little less salt than probably what I needed. So, yeah, but.
Wow. So if you could change your nutrition plan on the bike to add more electrolytes, do you think that would actually mitigate the cramps there?
Yeah, I think it would have made a difference. I used about half of what I used in Kona for electrolytes for this race, and I probably would have used 2/3. So, but I guess every race is different, but it went away. Everything was fine. So,
right. So what was your time goal for the run?
So to go under 10 hours, if I had gone by goal, swim and bike splits, I needed to be under 3:45. In Santa Rosa, I ran a 3:38, but it was a painful run. I started off way too fast and just gradually kind of cruised on to the finish, and my pace got slower and slower, so I didn't really want to do that. So I wanted to try and stay under 8:30s.
And so some of the trails there at Santa Rosa is like on rock, gravel.
It is, yeah.
Crap versus smooth concrete like this.
Yes, it is, yeah.
So which one would you prefer?
Smooth, the concrete. Yeah, yeah, no question.
I mean, that's what I would pick, but some people like the trails. They're weirdos.
I don't. No. No. The rocks were like getting stuck in my shoes, and it was no. No, nice. Thanks. And I start to get like a little, like when I get really fatigued, I start to get a little unbalanced, and like stepping on a rock when that was happening was like, I almost fell over a couple of times, like just tripped. I tripped on rocks. Like I get a little clumsy, and it was not, for me, trail running is not a good choice.
Right. So with your run here, you want to hit 3:45 or less.
Yeah.
So that's what, 8:20 a mile?
Yeah, around there.
Okay. So how are your first 4-mile splits here?
They were a little quick, so I was like around 7:15.
Wow.
Then kind of, gradually worked my way up to 8, and then about 8:15, and so.
So you're putting time in the bank, and then.
Yeah, because I knew the hurt was coming.
Right. So there's a hill here. How was the hill for you?
It mentally discouraging, but physically it felt nice to do something other than run flat. But it's it's always hard to see your pace slow, but we train a lot of hills here. There's really nowhere to run flat, so I prefer a hilly race. So I was kind of looking forward to the hills, the uphills, not the downhills. The downhills felt like my quads were on fire.
But you do flat training runs on the treadmill for a really long time.
Yes, on the treadmill I do.
I say that because whenever I did George's interview, you were on the treadmill for...
I think the whole interview.
Yes, like 18 miles or something. Oh my gosh.
I think that was my triple run day.
Was it?
I think it was.
Oh my gosh.
Shoot. Yeah.
Man, so,
yeah, I did that on a treadmill.
So the aid stations on the run course, how are they?
They're great. They're perfect. They have everything you want. They're plenty of nutrition. I ate a couple bananas. I ate Cliff Blocks, drink water, drink a little Red Bull. They were good.
Wow.
The volunteers are great. They're long enough. everybody's spread out enough that they're not overly congested, and they're good.
Okay. So when did you see George on the run course?
So I saw him at the beginning. He was like 2 miles in. He brought a bike, so he was like biking around, cheering for everybody.
He brought his own bike.
He brought a road bike. Yeah. So I saw him for a minute at like right about mile 2, and then I saw him again. There's like that little out and back, and then you cross the bridge somewhere over in like the park area. I saw him again. So he was kind of cutting back and forth across the bridge.
But he wasn't pacing you at all.
No, no, nah.
Man. So for the entire day, did he see you on the bike?
Yes, they kind of camped out at a spot. It was right by the penalty tent before you turned around in town. And so saw them briefly 2 times pretty quick. And then we go out for that long out and back, and then we see him again. So. Wow.
So this is a pretty spectator friendly course then.
Definitely.
That's what I was trying to get around.
Super fun. Yeah. It's super fun. Yeah. Wow. And all you have to do, even on the run, is just cross those bridges back and forth. So you would see someone potentially 4 times on the run even, without putting in a ton of foot, like, something. Traffic miles.
Steps.
I don't know. Steps.
Without going that far.
Yeah.
Man.
So.
I thought I got tongue-tied a lot. Man.
I know. I was like, what?
I'm making up words.
Oh.
Man. So what data screens do you look at on the run?
Just pace.
Just pace only?
Yep. That's it.
So you're not looking at heart rate, average pace,
no,
total
I don't
time,
wear heart.
Nothing.
I don't wear a heart rate monitor. Just pace. I mean, I guess I look at the miles if I start to get like kind of lost at the distance, but not really. And I feel like the time, if you look at it, it's just kind of discouraging because you still have so long to go. So the time is on there, but I really just look at the pace. So that's my top screen. And I just take a quick look and then go back to it.
When you say you don't get lost on the run because you're literally counting all the miles that tick by on the splits?
Sometimes I don't know if it's just like for having been exercising for so long already. But this happened to me in Santa Rosa. I just started to get like a little kind of disoriented. Like I was at mile 18 in my last race and I was like, oh, I only have 6 miles to go. And then I got to mile 26 and I was like, wait, now I have 6 miles. I just get kind of like confused and I don't know, thinking about something else. And so I kind of watch the miles.
Okay. So the support on the course was great. Mm-hmm. What was the best part of the run for you aside from the finish line?
That's a good question. I don't know. I kind of like I think that so it's like, you do that first little out and back. That's nice. Running through the where all the spectators are is awesome. Even through the bridge, that other side is a little bit discouraging. I think if I were to do it again, I would have known that part of the course a little bit better. There's a bunch of bridges that go back and forth, and I kept thinking I was to the end, and there was another bridge to go. So that was a little discouraging. But the part that's like closer towards the Ironman Village with all the people, it's flat. It's right by the water. It's just pleasant. The sidewalk's like pristine. It's pretty fast. So that part's fun, but.
Wow. So did you see anything funny on the race course? Spectators that had something funny that they were doing or wearing or having a sign?
No, I didn't. No, there wasn't that much fun. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you use the special needs bag?
There might have been. I may just not have seen it. Obviously, I couldn't even keep track of my miles. So they might have been there. I don't know.
You just weren't looking.
I don't think. No, I had my head down. I did not use a special needs bag.
Okay.
So
as you're getting through miles 8 through 15, how are these miles and the paces going for you?
I was still kind of like around 8:15, I think. And because I walk the aid stations, so it kind of messes up your so my watch was saying about 8:15. It might have been a little slower than that at that point, but I know that that's kind of like my dark place on the run from like about mile 10 to 12, or sorry, about 10 to 16.
Really?
Yeah. So I really just like focus on like having a fast cadence, just kind of like getting through those miles. Cause it mentally is just really tough for me. Once I get to 16 and you know, there's only 10 to go, like it just gets easier. But that's kind of a tough, you know, you still have a long way to go. That's when I try to not look at the time to see how far I still have to go. Cause you're, you know, still like 2.5 hours, 2 hours to go. It's a lot of running left. So mentally that place is kind of dark for me, but I think that's where I saw George for the second time. So that was good.
So how do you get through these dark places?
I have kind of a list of things that I know I'm going to think about ahead of time.
Really? Like what?
You know, non-racing things. So, that's kind of when I think about like, you know, why are you doing this? You try and think about your family and like other things that make you feel happy. And then I definitely, as far as like racing goes, that is when I try and focus on having a fast cadence. So I'm starting to hurt. My legs are starting to hurt. So I really try and just keep my cadence up, try and really focus on arm swing. I tend to scrunch up my shoulders too when I get tired. I guess that's a swimming thing. Someone has told me, you know, to tighten up kind of bring your shoulders up to your ears. So I focus on not doing that. But so I really try and just like think about technique things, and then that's it.
Have you ever thought that the dark place might actually be nutrition related?
Totally. Absolutely. So I always, like, when I start getting there, I eat a little bit more, definitely drink a little bit of caffeine. Definitely think that nutrition can play a huge role there. Right. Absolutely.
Because I've interviewed a few people where they say, objectively, they're like, oh, I'm having a bad thought. And they like hold that thought in their hand and they're like, okay, why am I having this bad thought? Have I ate enough?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Do I need to drink? Do I need to pee?
Yes. Do I need to do X, Y, or Z? And then they say, okay, hold that bad thought and then just throw it out. Get some nutrition. Get those as your thought pattern. And then if that bad thought comes back, say, oh, here's that thought again. All right, why am I having this thought again? Am I in pain? Am I pushing too hard? What am I doing?
Exactly. Yep.
And it's so hard to do that. Like, that is just, it takes practice.
It does. It really does. And like, you look at your pace. Okay, do I feel terrible because my pace is too fast? Is it too slow? Like, what am I doing? And how do I get over this mental hurdle? And I think even just by going through that routine in your head, you get through it, like, and it just ends and it's done. And then you're a mile down the road and you kind of do the same thing again. But I think practicing that mental toughness is like, and you have to do it. You have to train it because you can't, there's no other way to prepare yourself, and you have to know it's coming. And I know it's coming. And so I'm okay when it happens. I'm okay. Like, I know it's going to happen. And so then I just go through my little ritual and then you can move on to the next thing. And so,
see, and I also feel like it comes back to your support system as well, with the fake support and the true support. If you have somebody that's faking their support for you versus somebody that's really supporting you, you can tell that, and that's going to give you anxiety or no anxiety in those points of the race. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just I have such a good support system that I don't know what it would be like not to have that. And when you are like mentally going through that, like just seeing that person again, or even thinking about those people makes you, you know, it almost makes you like tear up. You kind of get a little emotional. Like, so I don't know what it would be like not to have that. And it doesn't have to be your family. I mean, it could be anybody. It can be your teammates. It can be your whoever, your coach. Like, it can, So I don't know.
All right.
I'm lucky.
So from mile 16 to 22, 23, how are these going for you?
So definitely hurt. So I know we talked about like I did a triple run, but that's like few and far between. I don't put in as many miles as some might. I start to hurt and like ache, and I just have to I just look at my watch, and if the pace is okay, I just like grit my teeth and get through it. And it's not like cardiovascular, like I'm not tired. It is muscle. Like I'm headed towards like failure. You know what I mean? Like I only have so many steps left. Like my quads are cramping, they're tightening up, everything's starting to hurt. And it happens every time. And so I just, like I said, just try and keep my cadence fast and not do anything that's going to make me like, you know, nothing stupid. I'm careful about where I step because my legs are getting shaky because they're so fatigued. And like, I'm careful, like what curbs I step off of. I watch the ground carefully because I start to trip on, you know what I mean? Like you're just so tired. So I think about that stuff a lot.
Did you know where you were in the race at this point?
Yes. So when I saw George the first time at mile 2, he told me there was 2 girls in my age group ahead of me, or 2 girls ahead, and they were both in my age group, which was fine. And then later in the race, I passed both those girls, and they told me someone was coming from behind, and you know, that's just kind of the nature of coming out like towards the front of the swim is you spend a lot of the race alone and kind of up front by yourself. And so a lot of people who beat you do come from behind. You never see them at any point during the race, and they go faster than you do. And so they told me there was something coming from behind, but I, you know what, honestly, I was like, I am going as fast as I can. And whether they came or didn't, that's just how it was going to be. There's some pictures, like, you know how you have like your little finisher pictures, and I was like, look at them. I never buy them, and there's definitely like a couple pictures where I'm like gritting my teeth out of pain, like in the picture. And then there's definitely one where I think I'm crying.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like and it was just from like, I was just hurting very badly. Like my legs were hurting. And so it's just a dash for the finish line at that point, you know?
So when did you realize that you might be getting a slot or you might win your age group? What was your thought process on this?
So I really just wanted the time. Like I just wanted to go under 10 hours. As far as the Kona slot, Kona for me is not as big of, I know like some people that is like their focus and their goal. And for me, that is not. I wanted the time, and I knew there was something coming in my age group, and that's fine. And, you know, I don't know. I truly like raced as hard as I could. And so however things fell, that's how they were going to fall. Because there was not, I couldn't go any faster. So,
right. So did you know at some point that you were getting passed? I mean, did you, because this was basically what you just said is getting a slot for Kona is a byproduct of what you were actually after.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. And so I knew I was going to go under my
really
time.
Care about
no.
The slot. You cared about, are you nailing your goal? Yes.
And I knew, like, I kept asking George, he kept telling me what spot I was in. And I was like, no, am I going to go under 10 hours? And he really just laughed at me. He's like, yeah, you're going to go under 10 hours. But every time they would try and talk to me, I was like, no, but am I going to go under 10 hours? Like the rest of it, I don't care. But yeah, I mean, I still like to race. I just didn't want to do something at the beginning of the race, like run a pace that I shouldn't be running that was going to undermine like my primary, like what I really wanted. You know what I mean? I didn't want to blow up on the run. And so, but by the time they were telling me there was somebody who was passing me, like time wise, I had already given all I could give, and it was just holding on till the finish line. So at that point I was kind of like, it's fine.
All right. Now you wore arm warmers the whole run.
I did. Yeah.
Did you do this for a reason? Because you're cold, or you just like it?
So they weren't like the warm ones. They're like the sun ones, like the thinner ones. They're not compression or anything. And I didn't want to put sunscreen on.
Well, I don't know if I would. Why didn't you wear a sleeve kit then?
Because that was the kit that I got this year, and I liked it. I do kind of like wearing arm warmers though. I've done it in a couple races now. And I don't know why. I've also done just a sleeved kit, and I just prefer to have nothing on my shoulders. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
So you get through all these other miles, and then you get down to the last mile. Before the last 400 meters of the run on the red carpet, how does the last mile go?
So I knew it was a little bit downhill. So you cross this bridge, and then you have like a little bit, like a mile to go, and it's downhill. You can hear like the Ironman village, but you're not there yet. And so I don't know. It just kind of like flies by. It still hurts, but you know. And luckily this race, you kind of know where the finish line is and you're running towards it. Some races, they like kind of detour you around and you do like a little swirly thing and then you come back to the finish line. This one, you're really just literally running to the finish line.
And it's nice.
So I like that.
You don't get
kicked back out on a little something. And yeah.
You're not, what's it called? Manipulated.
Exactly.
With it.
Exactly. And as dumb as that sounds, like another couple hundred yards, like mentally, sometimes that is like the straw that breaks your back, you know? Like, I cannot go another 100 meters.
Right. I mean, it's just the emotional mind, whatever you want to call that.
Yep. And it is. So we did St. George one year and they have this like, maybe it's like a Red Bull arch or something. I don't remember, but I swear to you, I thought that was the finish line. And the finish line literally was 100 meters further. And I went through it and I started crying because I did not think I could make it to the finish line, even though it was like right there and downhill. But I was just like, I can do it. So.
And anyway. It's hot as hell up there too.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So.
Man. So, as you get to the red carpet, do you know that you beat your sub 10-hour goal?
Yeah, I knew. The clocks are, they're all weird. Like, the time's weird. I knew just because they had told me before, but not like as I was crossing the finish line. I didn't know what my time was until later.
Wow.
But I knew I was under.
So, how was the finish line experience here for you?
It was good. There wasn't a lot of people there yet. Like, sometimes it's more fun. This one wasn't super fun. You know what I mean? Normally, sometimes there's like a huge crowd. There wasn't a ton of people there.
Well, I know how to solve that. If you slow down about 4.5, 5 hours, there will be more people there. I guarantee it.
Yeah, but there's like nobody there, so they kind of say your name and then, yes. But it was good. I was glad to be done moving, and one of my teammates was still in the finisher chute. His wife was about to finish a little bit later, and so he was waiting for her. So I saw him really quick. My husband was there. It was good. I was ready to be done.
So after you crossed the finish line, what'd you do next?
Gosh, what did I do? I found my husband. Yeah. I mean, it takes a little bit to get through all that stuff, You have to they help you as you're falling over and like trying to sit down. And, so I went and found him and then, and then there's a girl who beat me. She came in right after me. And so he talked to her for a little bit and then just talked to some of the other finishers for a little while. Waited for my other teammates to finish. They finished 10:15 and 10:17, so they were kind of right behind us. So we waited there for them because it's always nice to, see all these people you raced the whole day. So we hung out for about a half an hour, actually in the finishers chute.
Oh wow! So the girl that actually beat you in your age group came in after you?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So because she started the swim after me, so. Like I said, if you start at the beginning, you kind of race blind. You don't know who's coming behind you. And they could start in the hour 20 group and start the race 30 minutes after you and just chase you the whole day.
And you would never know that they're actually there.
Exactly. So.
Do you think that's fair?
No. I mean, but there's not a way to fix it. You know what I mean? I think it's just the nature of it's fine. That's just kind of just one of those things, just part of the race.
What about if they did a mass rolling start, where everybody's time started at the same time, regardless of where you are in the rolling start?
That would fix it.
Yeah. So now then you can be back there with the hour and 20 group.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to be up here racing at the very tip, you're going to be deducting that time on the front end.
Yeah.
I think that would be
that would probably be fair. Yeah, that'd be possible. But then I don't know.
But then on the backside, it's like, well, if you have a slow swimmer that's in the 220 group, do they get the full 220?
Yeah.
No,
right?
They don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure if there's a way to fix that. Among other things that need to change. I don't know if that's going to ever be a priority.
Among other things? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, this was a nice race, but, there's other stuff that happens. Like, I don't know.
Ironman Texas?
Yeah.
Wow. So, what's something that you learned from this experience that you would like to pass on to someone who hasn't done this race before?
Oh, specifically about Arizona?
Yes.
It's colder than you think. I didn't warm up for like 2 hours into the bike, and I couldn't feel my hands and feet until like I started running. So it's not warm. I would definitely say that. It's a race where you really can like feed off the energy of the people around you, though, and so good or bad. And so you just need to be ready for that. There's people around all the time. Other competitors, and you have to be a little careful and kind of watch out. And a lot of people, it's their first race ever, their first Ironman, and so you need to be kind to them, but also just make sure like where you are, like you don't want to get hit on the bike or anything. But it's a fun race, and mentally it's set up in a way that it really gets you through it pretty well. You need to be tough on the run, but you'll fly through the bike, and it's a good race. It's fun. I would absolutely say that's one of my favorites out of the ones we've done so far. I loved Coeur d'Alene. It's not there anymore though. But this is by far, I think, my favorite. So
this is better than Coeur d'Alene, Santa Rosa, and what other ones?
Yeah, just Kona.
Okay. So it's better than Kona.
Yeah. I mean, the race is fun. This is a fun race.
Kona's not fun?
The bike is fun. Kona's tough. Kona's fun, but it's hard. So.
Wow. So, looking back on it, how well prepared for this race were you?
So my husband would say this was the best prepared I ever was, but for any race. But mentally, like, you kind of always have that doubt right before, and I was like, maybe I haven't done enough, maybe I haven't swam enough, but I think this was the best prepared I was for any. He was right. It probably was the best prepared that I was, fitness wise. So
if you want to be more prepared, what could you have done to be even more prepared than you already were?
I think my biggest weakness is probably running. And I think I probably would need to put in more miles, and whether I'm willing to do that or not is another question, but, that definitely would prepare me better for the marathon. I think that's probably my weakest area. So. Well,
there's a silver lining here. You didn't run with the bottle.
I didn't.
So you have that going for you.
I learned, I like to learn from other people's mistakes.
Oh, really?
I choose not to make them myself. I have run with a bottle before. I used to carry F2C on the run. I do not do that anymore. Even a little bottle or even like a waist belt, I don't like it. I don't like the bouncing. And so I trained to use nutrition that was on the course for the run. For the bike, you can do what you want, but I think that helps. I mean, on my long runs, I drink water and Red Bull. I know it sounds gross, but I did. And
there's nothing like Red Bull on a long run. It's amazing. And if anybody says different, they haven't done it yet. Just saying. Yeah. It's a game changer.
You got to get over the taste, but just do it. Buy yourself a case and make yourself drink it.
It's a game changer for sure. So, looking back on it, if you could change anything about your race, what would you change?
So 100% would have worn a sleeved wetsuit on the swim. Absolutely. What else would I have changed? You always look back and you could have run harder, you know, like that kind of stuff. In the moment, I don't think I could have. Today, I could tell you that I should have been tougher on the run and just gutted it out, and I still had something left at the end, and maybe I did, but
you were doing the best you could in the moment with the information you had.
I think I was, but definitely the swim, I would have done that. I would have done that differently and stayed warmer. But I think otherwise, I mean, it was probably my best bike. It was my best bike. So all in all, I was pretty happy with how things went.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So, as far as first timers doing this race next year, what's some advice you would give them?
That's a good question. I would. The bike, you're going to be fine, right? I mean, there's people around. You'll see your loved ones. Make sure there's somewhere where they can see you, like kind of outside of that little city center area where the road gets rough, gets a little chaotic down there. They need to kind of hike up a little bit, even like, you know, half a mile, not far. I would have someone that you know where they're going to be on the backside of the run. So there's that first little out and back, then you cross the bridge, and then you have that kind of longer stretch. I would know that part of the course well. And I think mentally it would be easier to get through if you knew kind of where you are and where you're going. And I would I know it might not be as fun for them, but I would have someone out there cheering for you who is on the other side, because it's lonely. It's hot. I mean, it's just kind of like an ugly, got a long way to go. You're kind of in no man's land. It's just good to see like a friendly face out there. So
okay.
I would strategize that. I would get to transition early in the morning because there's a ton of people there. A ton of people, it's their first time. And, you know, I really would try and like simplify what you're doing. Like, you don't need a lot of stuff in your bags. You know what I mean? Like, try and practice your routine so that race morning, you know what you need to do and when you need to do it. And it just alleviates a lot of the stress for the day.
Okay. So you stay the night, you understand that you got second in your age group. Did you want to go to the award ceremony the next day?
Yeah, we planned our flight to go, and two of the girls I was staying with both won their age group, so we knew they were getting spots for Kona. I knew my age group had one spot, and that I did not get it. But I was fine. I mean, like, really, that wasn't my goal. I was totally okay with it. And I have some other big, like, life things that I want to get on with, and so it was fine. I was happy. I was happy to just go to the award ceremony, thinking I didn't get a slot.
So you didn't get your spot for Kona here?
Well, there was only one spot allocated to my age group.
Okay.
So the winner didn't show up for the award ceremony and didn't take her spot. And then one of the older age groups, the spot rolled down into our age group, but that didn't happen until the next day. So when we got to the award ceremony, my age group then had two spots, and the first place girl didn't show up. So, and that's actually the second time that's happened to me.
That's lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was it like at the award ceremony when you realized that that other person didn't show up?
Well, we had to like quickly be like, well, do you want that spot? Because that was not the plan.
Because at this point, it's like, do we have an extra $1,000 just laying around?
Right.
I mean, that's
for a year from now. I mean, it's doable, right? If there's any race that's doable, it's Arizona. You have enough time to plan. Yeah. So we had to like sit down real quick and talk about it, but it was good.
Because that's not like a little, hey, yeah, we'll worry about that then. That's like, do we have $10,000 laying around a year from now to go back to Kona?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's about the average price it takes to go to Kona. Yeah,
I think that's I would say average low.
Average low?
It's expensive. You know, it's expensive. You buy stuff. It's expensive.
Man.
I don't know. It depends on what you want to do while you're there.
Snorkeling. I want to go snorkeling.
Do the manta ray snorkel. It's the best.
What is that?
You do a night snorkel with the manta rays.
What?
Mm-hmm, that's what you need to do. It's the best. It's awesome. And I'm terrified of sharks, and it's awesome. Like, it's awesome.
So what is that like?
So there's like these resorts that have spotlights in the water. And over time, the like plankton have come and like they float around in the spotlight. And the manta rays have kind of learned that. And they come and they do these like flips and like eat the phytoplankton, I think it is. And so they just are like right underneath you, like doing these big like barrel rolls. It's like the coolest thing ever.
That's pretty awesome. I'll have to do that one day.
Yeah, I would put that on your list of things to do. For sure.
So
you got to do that. $200, but it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Just $200, a plane ticket, lodging, rental car.
Yeah.
And time out of my life. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So, as you're up on the awards ceremony, when did you realize that the first place wasn't there?
When they called her name and she didn't show up. So.
Did you immediately realize that I'm next and I'm up?
So they go in like reverse order when you do the awards. Right. And so she didn't come to collect her award. So, and we were like, well, maybe she's just coming for the slot allocation, but she wasn't there at all. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you get your slot and all that fun stuff. What was it like leaving with your slot and everybody else that you were with all got their slot? I mean, that's pretty cool.
It's like a big party. Yeah.
Man.
Yep. But a party that's not happening for a long time.
Yeah, just next year. Just next year.
Yeah. Everybody started talking about like these other races they were going to do. And I was like, oh, no.
So
I'm not ready.
So what races are next for you then?
You know what? I don't know. I haven't decided. Nothing for a while. I'm probably not going to do any early races. Just because the weather here, it's hard to train through the winter and to be ready to race in like an early April, May. We'll definitely do some local. I would love to do Olympics. I didn't do any halves last year. I just did a couple Olympics. So we'll see. I don't know. My husband's kind of trying to talk about the half in Canada. That'd be cool. I'm not sure. Wow. St. George is close, but man, that race is brutal.
All right.
So we'll see. I don't know. Spudman is a local favorite up here.
What's Spudman?
It's this it's in Burley, Idaho, and it's this amazing triathlon. It's like a local thing, and you swim down river, and then you get out and you bike around this cornfield, and then you do this run, and it's just like it's super cool. So
how long is that race? Is it 70.3?
Oh no, it's an Olympic.
Okay.
Yeah, we do a lot of Olympics. So.
So we covered quite a bit about your race. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it. Nothing else. Yeah.
So what races are on your bucket list?
Someday I'd like to do Mont Tremblant. I don't know. I don't know what's on my bucket list. I've always said I wanted to do Cozumel. I think that'd be cool. My husband wants to do Brazil. He's from Brazil. So that's on our list, I think. I don't know which one in Brazil, but maybe Brazil. I don't know. I think I may try Xterra this year. I'd like to do the Xterra in Ogden, Utah.
Really? That'd be fun.
So I think that's next. And then my sister and I want to do one of the swim run races in Europe. So that's on kind of my list. So I'd like to do the one, I can't remember which. I think it's in Switzerland. So.
All right.
That'd be cool. But those are like far off,
Yeah. So how can athletes follow you?
So I have an Instagram, and honestly, I have to look at it to tell you what it is. Hang on. Let's see. Let me tell you what my Instagram thing is. Okay. It is. Oh, you can search for it just by my name. It's Ali, A-L-I. And my last name is Day, D-E-A-M-O-R-I-M. That's my married name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So I only have one more question for you, and that's, what's your definition of a perfect race?
Oh, that's a good question. So I have never had the perfect race, something always goes wrong. Even this one, by far my best race and closest it's been to perfect, but man, I had a terrible swim. So I think any race that, you're going to have your ups and downs, but there's always something to be proud of and something that you did well. And I don't know that the perfect race exists, but it gives you something to work for. So,
All right.
always something to improve. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Ali, it's been great having you on. I've learned a lot about your experience, and I know now to wear a full sleeve wetsuit in 60-degree weather in the water.
Yeah, you'd think that'd be common sense, but
Well,
I'm living proof that it's not. I guess I'm still alive. I made it, but
Yeah. Well, it's been great. I've enjoyed it, and I look forward to following you next year at Kona, and I'd love to have you back on after Kona next year.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Awesome. Have a good day, okay?
Okay, you too.
Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you were able to learn something from today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.